In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. 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 So we want to go ahead and get started. And what better way to do that than to bring up our amazing author, Sandra Smith. Come on, y'all. Stand on your feet and celebrate her. Woo woo!
Good day, good day. Hello, everybody. Thank you all for coming. I'm very, very pleased to see you all. I'm very grateful for y'all, my family, my friends, my sorors, Regina's family. Thank you all for coming. Um, I know I had it somewhere of what I was supposed to say, but definitely this was a major journey. Way back, me and Regina, we had a lot of stuff in common back and forth, and we ended up both having to deal with cancer. And it was like, we should write a book. And we just kept saying, we should write a book, and it should have this in it. It should be about this. Lots of different ideas. But you know, when you're talking to your friends, it's kind of just like a joke, not like, yes, we're going to absolutely do this thing. But as time went on, we just kept talking about it, and I was like, well, what could we name the book? And all that kind of stuff happened. Uh, and then I guess when the sicknesses started getting real and we started seeing how things were going and we started having different emotions, I was like, we really should probably do this. So I started writing stuff down, and I would like send her my ideas and send her stuff. And where she was, this was just too much. It was a challenge. And she was like, I'm not worried about writing a book. Yeah, I'm not thinking about writing a book. That's too much. I got enough stuff going on. But I just still felt like it was something that we should do. So in the back of my mind, I kept thinking, we're going to write a book. We're going to write a book. And we're going to go to churches and we're going to raise money for scholarships, like just really big ideas, just dreaming. But as most of you know, that wasn't the situation. That wasn't what happened. But on last Sunday, my pastor preached. Thank you, Pastor, for letting me use this space. This is our church. He preached and he said, something good will come out of this. And it just reminded me of this situation that I find myself in and that I went through with my bestie, where it was what had to happen, I guess. And I couldn't just sit in the fact that it did happen and just be upset and be frustrated. So the book kind of helped me to process a lot of it, helped me to get through a lot of it. Um, and then also on Sunday, my pastor said, you have to still thank God for things that you are going through because other people only made it to it. He was preaching from the Hebrew boys in the fiery furnace, and they went through the fiery furnace, but then some people only made it to the door. So I thank God that I'm still here, that I'm able to go through this process. I, I often said that it was bittersweet, but after hearing on Sunday, um, I kind of accepted it, that that's kind of the way that it was, that it was a blessing for me to be able to go through it because some people aren't here to go through it. So um, I was told I should read something, and I think I'm going to read you all the introduction, and then hopefully you'll read all the rest of it yourselves. I thank y'all for purchasing the book. I thank you for going online and ordering the book. Just a year ago, this was not where I saw myself. So this has all been a blessing. It's a fast moving blessing, and I think it was a good way to honor my friend. Okay, so in the beginning of the book, there is the introduction. I'll read that to y'all. Regina and I met in the summer of 1996 on a college campus. Having similar features, we were shorter than most and wore glasses. We were charmingly quiet and internalized much. If you ever had to live on a college campus, daily activity may present a survival of the fittest. We resided at Virginia Commonwealth University, VCU, Rhodes Hall Dormitory. Classmates believed that we were sisters. She was older than me, and we didn't make it a point to tell them otherwise. On the day of graduation, many were still asking if we were sisters, even twins. We stood together posing for our families. Actually, my bestie was from a town nearly an hour and a half away from my hometown of Richmond. Regina was the truest, quiet soul. Jokingly, she was nicknamed the dorm mouse. However, she was involved in multiple social aspects of the university. She presented herself as fun-loving as she was a great dancer. She was a fashionista who loved shoes and color-coordinated outfits. When she stepped out to go anywhere, her accessories and her hair pieces matched. She wore the latest hairstyles. I can remember the finger waves and the scrunches. Her hair tightly rolled into a French roll, held together with lots of hairpins. I would do a flat twist set for her too. That was another one of her favorites. And my price would set her back $5. It was a quiet process between the two of us, but most days we had company. The other girls would keep the conversation and laughs going. Unlike myself, Regina was a loud personality on the dance floor, and I was the wallflower, just in the building to say I was there. I didn't really enjoy partying, but I would go every time she asked me. We got along so well. We were everywhere together, hanging in the commons, mealtime in the cafeteria, studying in our dorms, venturing out to the malls. I don't remember any disagreements until years after our college days. During summer break, we stayed connected through good old-fashioned postmail. My first visit to her hometown of Essex was during a summer break. I drove based on her recited directions that included landmarks to look for along the way. It felt like the longest drive ever on the open road. I grew to love that small town on the Rappahannock River and eating at the Chinese buffet. Bestie Regina was a country girl with an interest in redeveloping her family's property. We shared tips and tricks for replanting backyard gardens. I chopped kitchen scraps and buried them in the soil. Compost added nutrients to the soil and helped the vegetables grow bigger. I learned how to hand pollinate my squash to increase its harvest. It was basically mating the flowers so they could reproduce. Sometimes growers would do this when there was a lack of pollinators around. We would share pictures of our progress. She had the biggest vegetables growing out of 5-gallon buckets on her back porch. I kept my hands in my garden, pulling weeds and peeking at blossoms. Regina's gardens grew wild and big. She just watered them, and every now and then she reaped a harvest. The long drives seemed to get shorter every year thereafter. I reminisce about the forget-me-nots, the precious time dedicated to preserving our friendship and recognizing our commonalities. Our endeavors became more of a bonding. Regina and I became educators. We were the youngest siblings in our families. We both were given the middle name Yvette. Mine was changed earlier on. Christmas of 1987, my dad, a homicide victim, lost his life. Thanksgiving of 1988, Regina's dad passed away due to health-related problems. Soon after, Regina acknowledged her relationship with God. We began sharing God's word, prayers, daily encouragement. We were ordained as ministers of the gospel in our individual churches, and we were accepted by our congregants. Regina was my big little sister. I was given my first diagnosis in 2020, and Regina followed with a diagnosis in 2022. Again, our roads met. We knew in order to win, we had to fight. Your situation may be widely different or oddly similar. As my bishop would say, eat the fish and leave the bones on the plate. Many attributes can be embraced within this book to help you to cherish time and memories and to consider supportive resolutions. Initially, I asked my bestie to join me as co-author. Since then, I received a revelation to pursue the writing of our story. Contextual aspirations poured out of my spirit. I wrote what was being made plain to me in the birthday journal that Regina gifted me. I began to visualize forthcomings to share with her, hoping she would have equal excitement. However, during her stint of illness, she was not able to bear the load of writing alongside of me. The writing of our book became a personal pursuit. It was always my intention to couple our story. God blessed us with 27 years of friendship. I count myself blessed to have been a part of her life as she was part of mine. And that's the intro. How much time do I have? The other portion that I wanted to read to you is called the ecosystem, which I feel like that's a pretty big deal for anyone who's going through this particular situation. I should have marked it. Where is it? Where is it? Oh. There's a part in here. The ecosystem is 4, 5, 4. Okay. So there's a chapter called Develop an Ecosystem. And I'm not going to read that whole chapter. You'll read that when you get your book. So it says, I learned about the ecosystem at some point in my education. It's more of a scientific term about how organisms work in the environments. The rainforest and the desert are examples of ecosystems. I think of ecosystems as a bubble. There are specific areas where living things survive and hopefully thrive. Certain creatures are built for certain environments. Imagine a polar bear living in a desert. The desert wouldn't be conducive to the polar bear's needs of cold temperatures and icy waters. This scientific term works well as a metaphor for mankind's supportive human community. Just as the environment can hurt or heal the animal, the same results can happen within humanity. We all need an ecosystem built for optimal survival. Our ecosystems are the community constructed of people, facilities, and coping mechanisms that we lean on to thrive. It includes people who share supportive concerns for you and your health. Our bubble of friends and family who support, enrich, and encourage, us. We are fed and developed within one's personal ecosystems. Survival of the fittest training takes place by ways of nurturing and strengthening the spirits of one another. When one pours into another, the surviving advances to thriving. I hope by making one environment healthy, it will lead us to healthy environments. It's like adding on as you are decorating a room. Those who are battling cancer must reach out and select creative ecosystems, communities to share in supporting one's needs. Let's begin with the selection of a medical team who will be providing short or long-term care. At the onset, I encourage praying for God to guide medical professionals who have a genuine concern for your personal specifics, are interested in your personality, and respect you as a whole being throughout the process in this trying situation. Advocating for yourself is vital. It may be necessary to choose a power of attorney over your possessions. Have someone who is knowledgeable about the law to speak for you as needed. Appoint a friend or a relative who can stand in the gap as your guardian angel. Um, and I'll read this last paragraph. Living with cancer gives you a perspective of being mindful of your time and space. These become even more precious when you are dealing with so much unpredictability. In an effort to preserve them, it may be the best case where those who are showing themselves as less than supportive will have to be removed. Be mindful. Energy can pool. Petition good energies. Anyone who has intentions to stir nagging, negativity, or poor communications must operate within set boundaries for the sake of your wellness. Give them flowers of affirmation through your actions and deeds during their most challenging days and medical procedures. All right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Again, I'm so glad to see everybody. I'm so glad that you all are here. I thought to read my acknowledgments, but I think that would kind of be redundant once you get the book. It would just be there for you at that point. But I do thank y'all for coming, and I hope you enjoy what we are going to do next.
Give it up one more time. I love the introduction, right? Oh my goodness, what an amazing story of besties. And so at this time, we do want to call up our author to the platform. So if you will come on up, and she's going to be accompanied by one of the toughest interviewers in all of Chesterfield County Public Schools. Her son, Xavier Smith. Y'all give it up for Xavier. So we're going to have them come up, and Xavier is going to interview his mom. Following the interview, we are going to have a little Q&A. So we want you to take time, maybe while you're listening to the interview or something you heard in our reading, and just write down a couple of questions that you might want to hear answered from our author. Is that okay? Awesome. Take it away, Xavier.
Hello, everybody. So, my first question is, how did you choose your title?
So I chose the title because Regina and I were talking. We got this going on, and we had this, and we both had this, and remember, we both had this thing. We were going back and forth with a lot of stuff, and it was just like, after all this time and dealing with all these different things and being friends, we should write this book. We should write a book together. And it was just kind of a joke. But at the time, we both had been diagnosed with cancer. And because of being diagnosed with cancer, a lot of times people consider it your battle or your journey. And we had agreed that we were going to fight while we dealt with cancer. So because we were fighting, it was our battle. And that's where we got besties in the battle. Because Regina always called me her bestie. So in being the bestie, I like that it kind of flowed together. Besties in the battle. And then there's cancer and friendship colliding, because cancer was a very hard thing that we ran into in our friendship that we didn't really expect.
Well, that brings me to my next question. Did you and Regina have the same cancer?
No, we did not. Regina had pancreatic cancer, and I had neuroendocrine tumors or neuroendocrine cancer, which is very different. The neuroendocrine tumors most likely grow slow. They can grow anywhere within the body. I've had 4, and I had to have 4 surgeries. Pancreatic cancer is a tougher cancer. It's a faster growing cancer, it's harder to detect. Um, that is why I have on purple, because this month is Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month. So later on, if you look at that table over there where Regina's picture is, there's some information on that. Um, and also, I forgot to mention today would be Regina's birthday. Yeah, today would be Regina's birthday. So pancreatic cancer awareness is purple. Neuroendocrine cancer awareness is zebra stripes, black and white. So yeah, we had different things.
And then I have some book questions. What is the history behind your book?
Well, that's kind of the same thing. The history is that I had this friendship, and we were going along great in our friendship until we got to this point where we had to deal with the cancer. And after Regina passed last year in December, I got really kind of anxious that I would forget. And it was like, how am I going to remember all these things, which I could just readily recall if we were having conversation. But then I was like, I might forget something. I might forget her. And I think that was kind of where it started, that I really felt like I should write the book.
And then how long did it take you to write Besties in the Battle?
So I think I really started writing maybe in January of this year. I was at a conference for the Baptist General Convention. I was volunteering, and I met a woman who had written a book. And when I looked at the back of her book, she was from Essex, or it said something about Essex or Tappahannock. And I was like, I have a friend who was from Essex. I said, she just passed away in December. So this was in January. And she actually knew her. And she was like, oh, Regina. She was like, I worked next to Regina. You know, we would have lunch together. And I was like, wow, Tappahannock is small. So after that, this lady who was the author, she said, write the book. She said, I'm serious. Like, when you go home today, write. And I just held on to what she said. And I started writing. So it just took me a few months to write down everything and process it all. And what is how we got here.
Nice. And then do you have any advice for like new authors trying to make books?
I don't know if I'm qualified to give that kind of advice, but again, have support. I had several people who were also authors, were familiar with book writing, book publishing, that helped me. I had Dr. Gwen, who was the first person who helped me with going through all the ideas I had and how to write and editing and things like that. And I came into contact with my now soror, Kim, who is my publisher from Kiwi Publishing. Dr. Breon, who I was talking about earlier, I've talked to her. There was a few people who kind of helped me, but it took all of that, everything that I got from everybody I was meeting along the way was very helpful. Even down to I enjoyed crocheting, and I started going to the library, and I said, I'm going to be writing this book. And the librarian was like, oh, when you write the book, you can bring us a book and let us know. And, you know, so there's a community at the library that supported me for this book. Because of Regina, I found my sorority, Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. Thank you all, my sorors. And within there, even before I became a sorority sister, there were some ladies who were keeping up with me and checking to make sure I was working toward my book. You said you were going to write this book. You said it's going to be done by next year. I'm waiting to see your book. All of those things helped me to keep with writing and get to where I am.
So how were ways that God helped you, your book, and how to write it?
Well, again, I think some of this was to help me to deal with losing my friend. Totally came out of nowhere. Didn't see this happening for either one of us. So I think God kind of set me into something that I could focus on that would also help me work my way back out of the funk I was in, because it was very hard for me. I was depressed. I was very sad. And this was the one thing that I kind of, most days, I looked forward to doing, because it helped me to kind of reminisce and kind of have Regina with me in a way. So I think God did that. He also had my friends around, like Tanya and Shalonda. They are my peeps, but they were helpful because they understood, like, this was something that I was dealing with, and they offered advice, and they shared things, visited me, called, text, all that kind of stuff. That also helped. So I know that God has my friends in place for me. So I believe that that's a part of him helping me too.
And then I have some questions that would just be like funny in general. Some of them don't have to be about the book, but just so I know you like to cook. So what is your top 3 favorite things to cook or eat?
My favorite meal is baked chicken with rice and string beans. That was like Sunday dinner. I like to cook that now, most Sundays, but I got that from my mom. I like to cook gumbo because it just takes a whole lot of stuff, and in the end, it's just really good, saucy goodness. I don't know if I should be in New Orleans or if I should be in Africa, but it's just really good and yummy. I like that. Um, those are like my tops. I think I like cooking breakfast, which could be the pancakes, the eggs, the bacon. For some reason, I like breakfast. I like to cook breakfast.
And if you had $1 million, what would you buy?
Um, I think I don't know how far $1 million would go, but this is also another running joke. I should probably stop joking. Jesting is inconvenient. But I would always say I want to buy a church for our church, Children of God Victory Tabernacle. But I want to purchase the building and then the church not have to pay for the building. And I would jokingly say then it would be Smith's Children of God Victory Tabernacle. And then I would want a nice home in the country by the river. I don't know if it would be the Rappahannock, but I always liked it when I would go to see Regina and we would drive past those houses and you see the water behind it. One of her sisters lives in a house that's like alongside the water. I would like that kind of view when I woke up in the morning.
What are your I said what is your top 3 foods to cook? What is your top 3 shows to watch?
Mm, I like documentaries. So all the real stuff. I kind of like, I guess it's true crime type of things, like Dateline in 2020. I know Victor doesn't like that. I like those kind of shows. Um, yeah, I like the real shows. I don't really watch any fiction or soap opera stuff. That's not my thing. But if there's a documentary, yeah, I've seen a lot of documentaries that I like, so it's hard to say. But as far as a genre, I would say if it's documentaries, I'll probably watch it.
I have 3 more questions for you. What do you like to do with your family? And yes, it.
What do I like to do with my family? I like to dance with my family. Everybody don't always participate. I like to I like to have fun with my family, which typically would involve music for me. Um, I would kind of say I like playing games, but there's the stipulation that I'm winning the games. So I don't know if that probably would be the right way to say it. But if we're playing and I'm winning, I like to play games.
So, would your favorite hobby be? I know you said like music and dancing. So, would your favorite hobby be like music and dancing, or do you have something different?
I think right now my hobby is creating. If I get too worked up, I want to go crochet. If I get too busy, I want to go play with the Cricut and make a T-shirt or something. If I get frustrated, I'm gonna find something to create. I like to make things. I think that's my hobby right now.
So, what you're saying is, no matter what, you'll always be creative and good at
Yeah,
art.
I think getting creative brings me back to my center. Yeah.
Okay. And then my last question. After this, I will go around in the audience. You can raise your hand, and I will come to you, and you can ask her some questions. So my last question is, who created your book cover?
Oh, Amaya created my book cover. Amaya. Oh, Amaya is my daughter, and she does this thing where she's very artsy and creative. Y'all probably heard the music in the beginning. That was Amaya, but she does these pictures that's kind of unique. They don't have faces, and but you can tell what's going on. She'll do that for like Disney movies and like recreate it. So I asked her to do that, and that's how we came up with this. This is an actual picture from Regina and I going to Minnesota, and it was our last trip. Minnesota was, I think, in August of 23, and I think Regina still went on another trip after that. But we went and we were in this like walkway thing trying to take the selfies, and this lady was like, "Well, I could take your picture." So we have other pictures, but this was one of my favorites because it was just us just being friends and hanging out. And I was like, that'll be a good picture because it's a happy picture, and let Maya recreate it. So that's what we did. And then the um, the colors, I was a little picky about the colors. I just wanted the teal and pink, orangish color. It was a complicated color. I love you, Maya. And then the inside of it, before we got married, Victor gave me a book. It was Janet Jackson. I guess it was like an autobiography. And I liked the way she set up her book. And that's how I decided on the colors and the pictures in that design on the inside. But the outside, that's Amaya. And Amaya also took my picture on the back. Yeah.
So if you want to ask any questions, I'll be walking around. You can raise your hand. I'll come to you. I'm gonna start from this side and then move on to that side.
Go
So
ahead. Thank you, sir.
you already got it.
So while you were writing the book, I'm sure you went through a lot of different emotions. Are there any specific moments that you remember during the process that really stood out to you? Like one moment or multiple moments that you remember during this process that really stand out to you?
Uh, I think there were maybe 2 or 3 times where I thought I had written and I had done all I had to do. And I think it was Dr. Gwen that was like, so just take some time and wake up and make sure you have time to write. And I was like, I did that. I was like, I'm doing that again. And I think part of that was because some of the things were hard. There were situations that once I started writing, I remembered, and even now with our other friend Nichelle, we'll talk about them, and it just was hard and like brought like me to being angry. So I didn't want to write it, and I believe she also told me, you're going to go through. She kind of said the same thing. You're going to go through some emotions, but then there's also the part about you sharing the story. So you kind of have to go through whatever it's going to take to kind of bring it out. And then that's the point of a book. You're writing it so that it can be out, so that other people can benefit from it. And that was hard because, again, as much as I didn't want to forget, I wanted to keep things that were me and Regina, me and Regina. But then I wouldn't have had the book. I just would have been harboring it all. So that was hard. And I know some of the things, it was like nobody else had ever heard about or ever would have known. But because I put them in the book now, those stories will be out. But that was a prayer, and I just got to the place where it's out. And I definitely feel better now that it's done. And I still feel like I, I said and did everything in a way that would still honor Regina. So I'm okay with it now.
Are there any more questions?
Hustle, hustle, go, go.
Good afternoon, Sora.
Hello.
As you reflect over the journey, what did you learn about yourself?
I think in the same vein, I learned that some of the things that you kind of want to hold on to, you don't have to hold on to. It's okay to let that stuff be shared. Some people are going to be able to benefit from the story. So to not just harbor it allows more people to heal, because some of it is, these choices weren't the best choices. And it allows other people to maybe see themselves, which is what happens to me when I read other people's, like autobiography. It's like, wow, they did that. But then you think about who they are, and they're still moving, and they're still okay. So I think that was the thing I learned. I learned I could be an author. I could do this thing. I could write a book, and I kind of then was like, hey, everybody can write a book. Victor, you should write a book. Everybody. I just tell everybody you should write a book and go to Kiwi Publishing because she's awesome. So that I learned, um, and I guess it's another form of therapy, because at one point I was getting up every day writing for maybe like 2 hours or reviewing the stuff that I had written. Um, so if you're struggling with anything, if you're dealing with something rough, it may be that you need to put pen to paper and get it out that way, because that did happen for me. It was like a therapy in itself to go through that whole process.
Saying,
Hey,
oh boy, she's my daughter.
this is my godmother.
No, I just wanted to ask you. Um, I agree with what you said as far as letting go.
Hmm.
Um, I was told, um, well, why you want to tell that? Or
Hmm.
why you want to tell that? That's personal.
Hmm.
But I figured just like you did writing this book, if you don't tell it, you might be saving somebody's
Right.
life.
Yeah.
And if you don't tell your side, that's how I always feel.
Yeah.
Um, you could be saving somebody's life,
Yeah.
whether you uh, wrote this book or just speaking about it. And I
Hmm.
always believe that. And
Hmm.
thank you, sweetie.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is that all the questions for everybody? Okay.
Thank you, Xavier.
Oh, awesome, awesome. And I had one final question myself. So, since you have made this awesome achievement, this amazing milestone, your first book, nobody else thought of this question, or maybe you didn't ask. Are there thoughts of maybe a second book?
So before this, back in Joint Heirs days, you would know that. Joint Heirs was the daycare that our church had years and years ago. And I wanted to write a children's book because I did this little skit where the girl was scared to start kindergarten because our kids would graduate from preschool, and we did this skit. And I was like, I could make this a book. And it was this whole thing. She had a nightmare, and her mom came in and talked to her, and, it's just a dream. So I did always kind of want to write a book. I kind of more so wanted to write a children's book. And that was the first time that I thought about that. So now, yes, it's just like it's just this flower that keeps blooming and opening. So it's kind of like, oh, I could add more to this book, or I could make a book version for the children, or I can make a book about this. So yeah, I've thought about other books, but I am still on this high.
Oh, of course, of course, of course.
But I think I would like to write a children's book.
Wow.
Yeah.
It will come. It will come. Awesome. Give another hand for our author, please. And we are kind of wrapping up the celebration, so we're going to have our author to give us thank yous and closing remarks. And she can stay right there where she's comfortable. She looks so comfortable right there. Before she does, though, I would like to, a couple of housekeeping things. We do have light refreshments here at the side, which we will prepare for you. And so you can partake of that, while you are purchasing your books right here to the left of me. The books are on sale for $13, I believe it is, yes. There are restrooms in the back, so the ladies' restroom is right here to the back. The men's is right here behind this petition. And I just want to challenge everyone, if I could, and this thought just came to me on the way over. Maybe you purchased your book online. Maybe you purchased your book today. But let's really support this amazing woman, as well as the legacy of Regina Blackman. And let's bless maybe our bestie with a book. The book is called Besties in the Battle. So if you have a book for you, how about blessing your bestie with a book? Does that sound okay? That's 2 books. Oh, you bought 2 already. I love it. Wonderful. And if your bestie is here, or I would have to say my peeps, I'm going to say this and I'm going to sit down because I am Tanya. I'm one of the peeps. Shalonda is another of the peeps, and my sister Lachelle is. I remember early on when we first kind of developed this bond, Sandra or Regina came around for something, and she was like, "This is my bestie." And I'm like, okay, hey, bestie. And I can't remember when it happened or how the conversation was had, but Sandra made it clear to the peeps that Regina is her bestie. And I felt some type of way about that, y'all. Can I be honest? But I have to say now, looking back on those memories, I understand, I respect it, and Sandra has so much love. Sandra, you are one of the most resilient women I have come to know. You are a quiet warrior. Just your strength in every single bout, writing this book and being there beside your best friend as you were enduring your illness, standing with her amazing family. You are a phenomenal woman, and I'm so glad that you had the courage to share your story, and that you had the courage to have this amazing day, and we just celebrate you. And so we are going to sow into your life, and we're going to sow into the lives of others. So come on, y'all, one more time. Let's stand to our feet and celebrate the author as she gives thank yous and closing remarks. Whoop, whoop!
Thanks. Thank you. You are forever a peep. Forever a peep. I don't really know what else to say. I don't want to say things that y'all are going to see in the book. But yes, I thank God for my peeps. They are my group. We've been hanging for 20-something years. It's probably my longest friendship other than Regina. And Yeah, we did have some days we hung together, so it was cool. Um, Thank you to the Blagmans. Some of them are here today. The Blagmans are a wonderful family. I enjoy hanging with them, eating with them, having fun with them. It's been great over the years. Even now, still keeping in touch and still hanging. Um, Last year, wait, let me think. No, this year, at the end of the school year in 2024, we did a scholarship for Regina. She was a teacher and she worked in a high school. So the family and friends of Regina, we founded the Regina Blackman Memorial Scholarship, and we raised $3,000, and we gave two scholarships to two students. I want to say they both went to Old Dominion, maybe Old Dominion and VCU, I can't remember. But they were two students from her school and students who actually knew her too, so that was pretty cool. Uh, Thank you to my husband, Victor. I I was up and into this book and doing a whole lot of stuff, and so sometimes there wasn't things cleaned or there wasn't things cooked or whatever the case may be. But I thank Victor because he understood and he just let me do what I had to do. You know, he would come into the room and he would say, "Oh, you're writing," and then he just go on back out and let me write. And I'm telling you, for a while, it was 2 hours every morning. So thanks for letting me be that and getting that done. Um, Already, I thanked Amaya. She's my creative team, my artistic team. And I put her through some stuff. So thank you, Amaya. Thank you to Xavier. Xavier has always asked really good questions. So I thought it was great for him to be here to be able to ask the questions. He's been so excited for weeks. Um, and to, again, I don't want to go through people and forget people, but I thank y'all. Oh, yes, Virginia Beard. I thank you so much. Virginia is my mom. Thank you, Mom. And you'll see in the book, I said my mom was the one who said, "You could write a book." She used to always say, "You could write a book." And I believed her. So thank you for your support. You support in every way, all the ways. Appreciate your support from every which way. She's everything I need her to be. So thank you, Mom. Um, I thank you, Dr. Gwen. I I did not know you, didn't know you knew my church people, but oh, and I had a therapist just before all this stuff happened, and my therapist um, suggested a few people, one of which was Dr. Gwen. I didn't know that they knew each other personally, but I I kind of transitioned from working with my therapist to working with Gwen, which again, like I told y'all, that was still kind of therapeutic. But Dr. Gwen, I I saw her on Facebook and I saw she was dancing, y'all. She was so free, and she'd be doing all this dancing all the time, just like whatever about anybody else. I'm content. I'm happy, and I was like, man, that's the spirit I want to have. I want to just be able to enjoy whatever, not worried about anybody else. So I saw that just in her Facebook post, I would see that. And when I started working with her, I could see she was just comfortable being Dr. Gwen. And, I was like, I like that in her. So I thank you for your help. I thank you for all the time you put in with me and reviewing and teaching me a little bit about what it's like to be an author. I appreciate that. And also, Kim, I appreciate you because I knew what I needed. I didn't know the money I needed, but I appreciate you taking time to consider what I could do because y'all know with everything, it costs money to do anything. And at the time, and still at the time, I wasn't working, but I knew that this was something I wanted to do. And I wasn't looking for it to be free, but I did need help. So I appreciate you, Kim Soror, for helping me and getting me to this place. And Kiwi Publishing offers a team. There's other people involved with Kim that help you do whatever part of it is that you need to do. So all that was available to me. So I'm grateful for that. It's, it just puts me here in a whole different place I've never ever been before. So thank you for that. And I thank you to my sorors because I know, I hear people say, "Oh yeah, then your family," but they've been showing up and they've been supportive. Like I said, even before I became a part of the sorority. So I'm so grateful to everybody who has shown up for me. And I know there's people who's been ordering books online who knew they weren't coming. People like our family is in Buffalo and they've been ordering books and stuff. And it's just been a blessing because I didn't know how that was going to go. I didn't know what would happen once you say this book is available. So I'm very grateful. I thank God that this has happened. So I hope y'all enjoyed this. Um, I think everything that I needed to have happen has happened, and y'all enjoy refreshments, and I'll come sit over here and sign books and take pictures. I think that's everything. Thank you.
Will allow us just a moment to get the refreshments ready, but you can go ahead and start heading over to take pics to purchase your book for you and your bestie and get your autographed copy. Thank you all for coming.
play these things, can I get the instrumental? 3, 2, 1. Could we slow down the tempo? Need to get it done or it's all out the window. Dig through the trash for my dreams. Just another cat in the street with some fish bones. Another day past, no instinct, overthink, more doubt as the world spins, can't follow. Need the cash flow right away, why do tomorrow? What I need done by today. Cause I'm tired of the jet stream, tired of the chase, tired of these bills, and I'm sick from the rat race. Generation Z, will my life go to waste? Control Alt Delete feels like click copy paste. Million things to do when the list full of dates. Need to make a move now before it's too late, but I'm scared of my fears and I fear I'm afraid. Paralyzed by my thoughts, got my palms in my face. Time to face myself. Who am I? Don't really know, but I got to decide. Well, I'm not done yet. Guess it's back to the grind. I forget when I run, it's one step at a time, yo.
Okay, listen to me. Give me your hands. We're not praying, no. We're playing concentration.
Oh my god. Oh, Jesus Christ.
I need this for a track.
too much to think about, something to figure out, to live without. I prefer to stay up here in my balloon. Motto after motto they talk, phrase after phrase, proverbs, psalms, and sayings. Have you some alliteration, inspiration? Here's something that you don't know. You should try, you should start. Did you know people don't realize everybody thinks that they are right? Don't you know that you don't know? I've been sleeping, I've been dreaming, underneath the rain above my head. In my dreams are no annoying beings, and I am free to do all that matters to me. And somebody wakes me up, now responsibility is shouts and calls and screams for me. I just wanna spend all day in my pajamas. Please leave me be, leave me alone. Please, please leave me be, leave me alone, leave me alone. Please, please leave me be, leave me alone. Please, please leave me alone. am now going to read a brief excerpt from an interview spoken by American actor and comedian Richard Kind on something emotional as a biggest fear. I think I'm a smart person, and I hate when I show how not smart I am. It's a huge fear of mine, just realizing how dumb I am, and knowing that they're realizing how dumb I am. I'm a little distracted at the moment. $5.99 Valentine. Mention-itis, fake flower detritus. Don't mean to be nosy, but how you stay cozy.
Could have caused. I don't know. I didn't like it. It's not like the only thing I'm making out with. So, yeah. I bet that got you to laugh. So, they're losers.
Who's your mama?
to do. You remember the last time you could say you were fine? What's the point of feeling blue next to you moving on? I'd rather not talk about this one and put you in my feelings or whatever. I'm better at it, button mashing, flipping little levers. Cut off the main switch, indifference to man the ship, navigate, dissociate, look straight, cause wishing don't be doing a darn thing. Attempt to hold together moments made of stormy weather. Forecasting, misty mix, imagine. Why would I try to say hi when I mean goodbye? Whiplash, don't ask. Put down the looking glass, don't be flooded with the past. Pass through to objectively observe. Rolling off the shoulder and to see that you preserve. Number, how I'm doing. Reflection is a luxury to keep myself from moving. Window open, motionless, emotionless. A boast, you be a ghost. Doing the most, blink twice if you need help. Phasing in and out, inside, said I'm out. Didn't really give her all good to do. What do you do? Should keep a travel journal for all of these and just like the morning. Look 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 just like the morning. Ooh, yeah. Look just like the morning. 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 Ooh, yeah. Look just like the morning. 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 Ooh, yeah.
No blankets, no books. Isn't it the things that take forever to happen way too fast? Never knowing what, how, when, or why. Now, ain't that the daily life? Forrest, Wayman, Harry, and Sally. Tank said it's like falling, plummeting into trust falls, dusting off old concert halls, holding hands and heads and hearts, waltzing but forgetting parts, cycles, circles, cutting corners, circus clowns and running waters, social contract, soap and fun facts, popsicles for son and daughter, hope for more, better than worst of times. What would you do for me? What would I do for you? What makes you and I so special? Winks and blinks, kisses, misses, fists and furrowed brows. Learning how to share like children should. Make believing night and day away. Telephoning coughs and sneezes. Best believe there isn't anything I'd keep from you. No blankets, no books. But a page from the strongest will read. Take take caution when lifting this weightless ton, because if dropped, the blow could be fatal.